Cosmetics, something that it seems like every recent Sonic game has had within its features. With it starting back in Sonic Forces being able to add different clothes and options to your custom character, or even the likes of Sonic Colors Ultimate being able to change Sonic gloves and shoes, or Frontiers even bring back the likes of soap shoes and also a lot of collabs, or even most recently with Sonic Superstars adding different cosmetic features for multiple playable characters in the likes of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and even Amy. And with Sonic X Shadow Generations coming out later this fall, I think this game will be no different with this feature. At least, I think it would be a huge missed opportunity if they didn't add cosmetics to this game. Sonic Generations is already an anniversary-styled game, so there's no reason that they couldn't add anniversary-styled cosmetics. And even adding the likes of Shadow, there's no reason why they couldn't give Shadow different cosmetics, and this being his first game to have that feature. With the more recent Sonic games that we stated, I think it would be pretty crazy not to see this feature continue to return in future Sonic games, including this one. And genuinely, it's pretty rare to see a video game these days not have cosmetic features. Even Nintendo jumps on that trend in the likes of Mario Odyssey or Zelda Breath of the Wild or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Or even skins taking over the world in multiplayer games for the most part. Cosmetics have almost become a must-need in video games, and I think that Sonic should continue to jump on that trend. I think it creates for really cool Easter eggs and references within the Sonic game, and it is really cool to run through all the levels with different cosmetics. I think, for instance, a big thing that we can take from this is look at the modding community inside of Sonic. And I think it's an obvious choice with Sega obviously knowing that people do this already on PC. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't remember the last time I've used base Sonic and Sonic Generations on the PC. I'm always using a different character mod to be able to potentially change Sonic in some type of way or just use a different character. And this is why so many people can already play Shadow inside of Sonic Generations before the game even comes out. Now, I don't expect them to add multiple different playable characters, but just simple cosmetics or costumes and stuff like that would be a great choice for this. And I think they could easily add this inside of the collection room with just expanding it or just adding a simple cosmetic feature inside of there. Within this collection area, I definitely could see where you could add potentially different stuff to Sonic's gloves, Sonic's shoes, or potentially even clothes on his body, or just full-on skins. But I don't think they should just be limited to just modern Sonic, as I think there should be features for classic Sonic or even Shadow as well, considering he's going to be a playable character in this. But I think there's a lot of possibilities that could be added for each of those characters. When it comes to modern Sonic, I think the more obvious options are going to be a lot of his shoes. With these soap shoes already being in Frontiers and even for the custom character in Forces, I think it's an obvious choice as these are my preferred shoe for Sonic. If there is always an option to add soap shoes to Sonic, I will always select that as I think these are his best shoes by far, but that's just my opinion. You could also add the likes of classic shoes to modern Sonic, the Prime shoes, or even the Puma shoes from the movie. There's a lot of different features when it comes to his shoes, and it would be really cool to see. I think another big opportunity would be his Sonic Rider's gear as well, when it comes to his glasses, his gravity band, and also the shoes that he wears inside of those games. Another cool Easter egg that you could potentially add for that costume is adding his zero gravity board inside of City Escape or Seaside Hill. I think that'd be a really cool touch, and I know that's a lot to think about, but I think that'd be a really cool reference inside of the game. But there's also a lot of other accessories that could potentially be added to this as well. Another big one that you could potentially do is just giving Sonic his Black Knight Gauntlet and have him hold on to Excalibur while running through stages. Or even adding just the likes of Chip's bracelet, or even his boom accessories of adding all the sports tape and different shoe styles. Or you could even add Link Sonic from Sonic Lost World DLC of adding that tunic to him. There's a lot of potential things that they could do for accessories, and I think that all of these would be great choices and I'd love to see them all. You could also do more full-on skins like Movie Sonic where it completely looks different for Sonic. I think this would be a great marketing thing to do to add hype for the movie while playing through the game, but also would look just really cool to be able to play in a game as Movie Sonic. You could even add the likes of the Werehog or fake Metal Sonic from Sonic Heroes. I think these would be great features, and while I think these might be unlikely just because of an animation standpoint, I still think it would be really cool. The Werehog is a bit of a stretch just because you'd have to make a whole-on other running animation for him, and he'd almost be his own separate character with having to do that, but it would still be a really cool touch to add into the game. When it comes to classic Sonic, you could definitely port over a lot of his costumes that he has from Sonic Superstars, and most notably the Rabbit, or as a lot of people dub him as Feels the Rabbit. I think that would be a great addition as it seems like they really want to make Feels a more notable character within the Sonic series, and I'm all for that, and I think this would be a great opportunity for that. You definitely are very limited to what you could potentially do to Classic Sonic, as Modern Sonic would definitely have a lot more possibilities for cosmetics, but I think you shouldn't just limit Classic Sonic like that. Instead of limiting him to just the classic games, I definitely could see them doing the likes of like a Dreamcast style version of Classic Sonic, or even just simply giving Classic Sonic soap shoes, or making him more look like Modern Sonic with having the darker color to his fur, and also giving him Modern Sonic shoes. Or you could even add in the likes of Classic Shadow, and while I know that's pretty unlikely to see them do, they did make a costume for him in Sonic Superstars. Who's to say they just wouldn't add a face to that whole on costume? He doesn't even have to really skate, he can just run like Classic Sonic. I still think it would be a really cool touch. And it would just be cool to see an official Classic Shadow even though he never existed. When it comes to Shadow, I think they could definitely do a lot of stuff with them, but I think the most notable would be the androids from the Shadow the Hedgehog game. I think you could add all the different customization features of adding the one that's yellow that looks similar to him, or even adding the full-on metal ones that have guns attached to their arms. I think these are really cool designs, and it's a shame that they're locked only behind the 2-player mode inside of the game, but what better way to bring them back than now? And these are already big things inside of Sonic Speed Simulator, so Sega definitely knows about them or has seen them within these games. Another cool callback that they could potentially do for Shadow is adding the likes of Terios. If you don't know about Terios, Terios is actually the original design for Shadow, where he looked more similar to Sonic, he was just a little bit more beefed up. We have never truly ever seen Terios inside of a game, and he was never reused in any way. But I think this would be a great way to bring him back, or even just do a really cool callback. I mean, they already did this with the rabbit being the original concept art for Sonic. Why not do this for Shadow as well inside of this game? And with the likes of Black Doom coming back, it would be really cool to kind of see some similar iteration to a Black Arms Shadow. It would be cool to kind of see them do a similar form to kind of some of the black creatures that you see inside of the game. Or even the most notable one that I think of is actually a mod inside of Sonic Adventure 2 and doing something similar to this where he looks more like those creatures. I think doing some original designs for Shadow would be really cool, and it'd be a really cool way to tie in Black Doom since he's already confirmed to be in the game. There also is some pretty obvious decisions that they could potentially add into this game for Shadow as well, in the likes of Sir Lancelot from Sonic and the Black Knight or the SA2 race suits. I think those would be pretty obvious options, but ultimately really good options at the end of the day. I think running around in a stage with Sir Lancelot would be pretty dope. You could even potentially do like a skin of like a Dreamcast style, making him more look like his SA2 form, and potentially even giving him his upgrades as accessories. I think that'd be really cool, and another thing they could do for Sonic as well. And the last one that they could potentially do is Mephiles. Now, when you think of Mephiles, you might think of his crystal form, but I don't necessarily mean that as a costume. I think that's pretty unlikely for them to add, as cool as it would be, but I'm actually more talking about the gray version of Mephiles. The Mephiles that actually looks identical to Shadow, it's just his colors are different and his eyes are glowing green. I think this would be a pretty simple cosmetic for Sega to make, and a pretty obvious one at that, as it seems like Mephiles might actually be potentially part of Shadow's story. At least I think he should be if we're running through Shadow's past in this game, as Mephiles is definitely a big part of it, but yet he's still one of the coolest and most well-received villains inside of the Sonic series. You could also potentially add skins for the likes of the friends in the hub world, as you don't really play as them and they're only in some side missions, but I think you could still add different costumes to them as well. You could definitely do different things like they did in Sonic Frontiers, where it kind of changed them into their birthday style stuff, or even potentially other collabs they might have with this game to help promote it. I think that'd be kind of a cool minor feature to add, but not something that I really need or want. Would just be kind of a little cool touch, I guess. And the last one that I want to talk about is Super Forms. I think the most obvious one that we'd all love to see is Hypersonic. While I think this is unlikely, as many people have stated that Hypersonic will never come back from Sega, I still have a lot of hope that this form will one day come back, and I would really like to see them added in this game. It doesn't even have to be any more powerful or have any other different abilities in the Supersonic, just as a simple skin, and I would be okay with that, just to have something of Hypersonic return. Or you could even add the likes of Hyper Shadow for the first time ever. Other obvious ones would be Darkspine, Excalibur, or even Dark Sonic, with super forms that we didn't get to see a lot of, but potentially could return as a skin inside of this game. I think it'd be really cool if you turned on the Black Knight suit for Sonic, and when you turned into his super form, he turned into Excalibur Sonic, or if you have like a Secret Ring style Sonic, and he turned into Darkspine Sonic, absorbing the world rings that he needs when he actually transforms. And I think a more obvious decision that they could potentially add is the Frontiers forms, and the likes of Super Sonic 2 with giving him more of a red aura, but also those bright blue eyes that he has inside of the DLC. I think that would be a great addition, and I don't think it would be something too hard for Sega to add. And another thing that I think they won't add, but I do have high hopes for, is Cyber Supersonic. We never truly get to play as that form, and we only ever see it in cutscenes, so it'd be really cool to be able to potentially play it, even if it is just a skin. Just to get more of a look at it, and just see how crazy looking it would look inside of a game like this. While I think that there are truly endless possibilities of what they could do with this, I know my expectations are very high for this. I truly don't think that they will add a bunch of cosmetics. I think there will be very minor ones, especially in a remake game. And I really don't see them ever doing a cosmetic for Shadow inside of this game, as we don't even know if he's going to be playable in the main story. For all we know is he's just going to be playable inside of his own episode, and we won't be able to play with him in the normal stages of Generations. Well, I have high hopes, and I hope that they do that and they do add different cosmetic features. It's just kind of unlikely to see. But hell, I really hope that Sega does surprise me with this, and I can't wait to see what they would do if they do actually go forward with this. But let me know what cosmetics or different costumes you'd like to see from past Sonic games inside of this game that I didn't cover in this video. I'd love to see your guys' ideas, and I can't wait to see what they do with this. But with that being said, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as it does help out a lot, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace!